Welcome to another edition of Johnnie Torch Live, number 148 today on the only way to spend your Saturday here with us. And we have Torch News Roundup number 133. Yes, 133. And today we're going to talk a lot of Star Wars. So if you are in the mood for a little galaxy far, far away, you don't want to go far. Alrighty, but first off, we got some other stuff to cover, so we'll cover that stuff as well. And we're starting a little early, a little bit ahead of schedule, but we want to do some house cleaning here. First off, check the link in the description below, and you can find my website, The Adventures of Bullets Bourbon Private Eye. Very excited to debut the new cover for Bullets Bourbon Casebook 6 when the night comes. That's the culminating climax of the 3-issue arc that we've been working on for the past couple of years, where Carrot Top and Pencil Neck team up, and we're using that as our banner or whatever. So you're going to be seeing a lot of that cover because this is a good cover. This is something that showcases the primary characters very well, and I haven't had a banner change since the second issue, which debuted Pencil Neck, and here we are now, way into the series with 6 issues under our belt. Unfortunately, the issue is not going to be going to print until probably May. But check out the link in the description below to get you caught up on my website, The Adventures of Bullets Bourbon Private Eye Comics. You can order them there. You can check out a free 4-page preview. I believe we still have a 4-page preview up from the 5th issue. And we're going to be talking more about that in our next exciting episode. But we have so much to talk about today. Again, we had a lot of trailers to talk about in our last edition that I had to break it up into two shows so that we could get the Joker taken care of on one show and then the Cobra Kai and Avengers in the other show. Probably not going to be a broadcast next week. It's Holy Week for those of you observing, and as I always joke, I'm the Sandy Koufax of YouTube. I don't do any work during the holy season, during Holy Week and or Easter. So probably going to be the last broadcast. That's why I don't mind if we go a little long on this one, but we are going to save the Bullets Bourbon talk for the next episode because we do have a lot to talk about with Star Wars, and I'm sure that's going to take a good half hour of the program to begin with. And finally, in our next order of business, check out our Twitter page and the link in the description below. And we have the poll of the week question, which is, we talked about it in the Captain Marvel review, which, by the way, if you haven't watched my Captain Marvel review, the Shazam review, excuse me, I'm still getting confused. Old-timer here thinking about Captain Marvel, his actual name. But if you haven't seen my Shazam review, you should check it out. And definitely check out the movie because I thought it was pretty good. But the poll of the week question is very straightforward question. Which did you enjoy more, Captain Marvel or Shazam? 27 votes. I wish we could get this up a lot more because that's not a good showing for a poll. But I guess maybe too many people did not go to both. I'm not sure exactly why that is, but Shazam has got the tentative lead with 52% of the vote, and Captain Marvel is still lingering around there at 48% of the vote. Could possibly take the lead. 3 days left, so you still have plenty of time to check this out and vote. Okay, so first up, first order of business. This is just a very simple image here, but I caught this. It's supposed to be the first full image of Mysterio from Spider-Man Far From Home. And this is the first time we actually get a good look at his helmet with the cloudy fishbowl look. And it looks pretty cool, I have to admit. I have very little interest in Spider-Man Far From Home. I did not like Spider-Man Homecoming very much. I like Tom Holland, and I'm sure Jake Gyllenhaal will do great. Michael Keaton did very well. I I'm only really going to see Mysterio. I honestly don't think they're going to do justice to this character of Spider-Man if they couldn't do it in the past movie, arguably the past two movies. I don't know when they're going to do it. I thought he had a great debut in Civil War, but even there, you can tell they're trying too hard to distance themselves from the traditional depiction of Spider-Man, and I think that's going to hurt them in the long run. We're going to be talking about, that's our second part of our big discussion here on the program today, and the chat room is open. If you are wanting to add to the conversation, by all means, please do. Or if you're watching this after the live stream, please leave your comments in the chat below, and I will get to them as soon as possible, which, by the way, we also got another new subscriber, so thank you very much, whoever it was that subscribed most recently. We're getting a bunch of subscribers, and like I said, we're trying to hit 100 subscribers by the end of the year, and we are now up to 88. So tell your friends, share the videos, be sure to like, that really helps, and subscribe. So we will move on here now, but let me know what you think about the Mysterio suit. Are you excited for, what is it, Far From Home? Or do you think this is just going to be more same old of trying to desperately stay away from saying Uncle Ben and so on and so forth? Okay, so next up we've got, let's see, the Disney Plus streaming service and the MCU shows. Let's take a look at what they said about the MCU shows. Disney Plus will launch on November 12th, 2019 for $6.99 a month or $69.99 a year. That's actually not too bad. $7 a month. That's like Netflix prices, right? That's at least what Netflix was the last time I had it. Which, by the way, I still haven't seen Daredevil season 3. I always wanted to go back and see Daredevil season 3, but there's so much stuff going on, and I was not really, in all honesty, I was not really a big fan of the Netflix Marvel shows, so I never got back to it. But this might be a little more up my alley, and let me know if it's up your alley. The MCU Disney Marvel shows. Let's see. The offerings will include Loki, starring Tom Hiddleston, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier with Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan. That's pretty interesting. They got a logo for that one up already. They also have one for WandaVision, which I didn't get that image, but kind of interesting, that name, WandaVision. I mean, because it's pretty explanatory what the first one is, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But WandaVision, it's not Scarlet Witch and the Vision, or the Vision and Scarlet Witch. It's WandaVision. Kind of curious. Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen signed up to star as the Vision and Scarlet Witch. So those are our starter set. Those are the ones confirmed. We know that they're going to make. We don't know a whole lot about them. I'm not sure. WandaVision sounds to me like they're on a quest or something. They're probably going to be looking around, possibly to find something or someone. Yeah, that's kind of what a quest is. The Falcon and Winter Soldier, I have no idea what that's about. I'm guessing this is supposed to be sort of the balm, so to speak, to heal over the wound that is Captain America leaving the MCU. They're probably going to try to sort of carry on Steve's legacy. I'm guessing that's what that show's about. Loki, starring Tom Hiddleston, there's been a lot of speculation, monkeying around through history, impersonating people. I don't think that's the way it is. I don't think that's what it is. I think, apparently, at least going by the original Thor movie, it seemed like Midgard was sort of off limits. It seems like the Asgardians didn't come to Earth since the big war of 433 or whatever that was, when Odin lost his eye. So I don't think it's going to be anything like that. It's probably going to be more so sort of a I was going to say sort of a sequel to Ragnarok, but again, we don't know if Loki is indeed dead. So I don't know. There will also be a What If series, an animated series featuring the voices of the actors who played characters in the movies. The first of these will see Peggy Carter become Captain America and Skinny Steve Rogers donning an Iron Man suit in World War II. That sounds interesting, but it depends what kind of story you're going to do. Like, for instance, if Peggy Carter became Captain America, that honestly doesn't interest me. If Skinny Steve became Iron Man in World War II, that honestly doesn't interest me. When What If was the best in the comics was, well, there was two parts to it. One, when they did sort of the not brand Eck type humor, and they were sort of just goofing around. That was really fun. And also, I think when they touched on the milestones, like what if Uncle Ben wasn't killed, or what would happen if Jean Grey survived? Those were like the classic tales that, if you spin them in another direction, just what would have come out of it. And there were other really minor stories, such as what if, I don't know, the Hulk met the leader in a broom closet in the dark of night, or something like that. But you get what I'm saying. There were stories that were very mundane, so to speak, and then there are ones that try to branch out into the epicness of what the original epic event was. So let me know what you think. What do you think in the comments below? What do you think about these shows coming up? What do you think about the What If series? Will that be any good? Some animation is much welcomed, because we don't really get enough of that in modern day here. Not enough of it being good anyway. I'm guessing this is going to be sort of more a mature attempt. All right, and then again, in the not quite confirmed department, and I saw Jeremy Renner on Jimmy Kimmel the other night, and again, he he can't talk about anything. It's really, it's kind of humorous, although I would say it's sad to an extent. They just march these stars out with nothing to say. There's absolutely nothing they can say. So he and Disney has yet to confirm or deny, but Hawkeye is at least alleged to be having his own series on Disney Plus. According to Variety, it's a limited series, which they all are. Motorcycle racer going on behind me. Go Speed Racer, go. Okay. Apparently, the limited series will feature Jeremy Renner's Clint Barton passing the torch to Kate Bishop. In the comics, Kate was a member of the Young Avengers who made the mantle her own, and the two have teamed up on a number of occasions since. This obviously confirms that Hawkeye will survive the events of Avengers Endgame, but it's unclear whether the inclusion of Kate Bishop means Renner's stint as the hero in the Marvel Cinematic Universe will end after the 6 to 8 episode series debuts. So basically, I took to Twitter to say, bleep this crap. Really, screw it. I have zero faith that the Marvel Cinematic Universe will survive after Endgame, because it just feels to me like they're admittedly opening the door now for bringing on all the scabs from the past 10 years in comics. We're going to get Riri Williams. We're going to get Amadeus Cho as the Hulk. We're going to get whoever is going to inherit the mantle of Captain America. Is it going to be the Falcon? I don't think so, seeing as how he's going to be getting his own show, Falcon and Winter Soldier. So I don't think it's going to be either of those two gents. Kate Bishop taking on for Hawkeye, and then we'll have the Captain Marvel to lead them all. So, yeah, this is going to spell doom for, and they've already said in the Captain Marvel sequel they want to introduce Ms. Marvel, the Kamala Khan version, and this is going to spell certain doom for the MCU, just as it spelled certain doom for the Marvel comics themselves, because not only are they going to be going woke, probably because we're going to have this diverse list of characters, and I wouldn't be surprised if they put the X-Men on the shelf for a while and just introduce gay Bobby Drake. That's probably what they'll do. I bet they're going to introduce gay Iceman as part of this new Young Avengers or something. Maybe they'll try to tie it in as a Spider-Man, as Amazing Friends. And it's going to be the woke police, the woke patrol, and people are not going to go to the movies to see Ironheart. They're not going to go to the movies to see Amadeus Cho. The films will fail. They'll do the same moral outrage and indignation like they did when people were loudly voicing their concern about Captain Marvel being the beginning of the SJW era. And it's going to be a free for all that'll probably culminate in the end of this great dream, this great promise that was shown by Kevin Feige before he showed his true colors. We have to say that now, don't we? The mask is off, the shroud of the dark side has fallen, and that he's just going to wholesale sell MCU over to the SJWs. Let's call it what it is now. I mean, I wasn't terribly upset with Captain Marvel. To me, it's a boring movie. It was dull. It was not exactly, it wasn't exactly entertaining. It was sort of like, the best way I could describe Captain Marvel is it's the episode of a series that you like that feels like filler and you want to skip it, but you say, oh, there's that sort of reveal somewhere, at the 30-minute mark that I kind of want to see in order to, tie the rest of the show together. And so you would kind of like fast forward through most of the episode and then just get to sort of the salient scene that kind of stitches it all together. Kind of the way Captain Marvel is. There's like 2 or 3 fun scenes maybe, and it's really just mediocre. And that's probably, with the MCU being what it is, which is high quality. That's damning to say it's just mediocre, because how many films in the MCU canon are just mediocre? As bad as people say that Iron Man 2 and Thor: The Dark World are, I still like them a lot. I really enjoy them. Not a big fan of Guardians Volume 2 and not a big fan of Homecoming, but that's select company. When you're down at that, whatever it is now, the 19, 20, and 21st positions, it's not really good. So again, we got to move on, but all right, so let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think that if this is indeed true and Hawkeye gets his own series and it's going to be a passing of the torch to Kate Bishop, do you think that the MCU is going to survive, or do you think that this is the beginning of the end? Do you think that the MCU could survive under the new leadership of Kevin Feige's sort of SJW wokeness? Or do you think that the writing is on the wall, as they say biblically? All right, so moving on, as we are wont to do here, let's just continue on. We have a little bit of news here about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They revealed something here, the name of the character that Clark Gregg is playing. And his name will be, spoilers if you don't want to know, his name will be Sarge, or at least that's what they're going to refer to him as. Clark Gregg recently told TV Line that fans might be a little disturbed with his Sarge. Chloe Bennett, of course, being Quake, added that fans won't realize how much of Phil is really Clark and how much of a departure this new character is. To see Clark do something very, very different, I think will actually be a fun treat for fans to see. So again, this is interesting because they're, I guess, pretty much cementing the fact now that Phil Coulson is dead again, which I thought that they were going to kind of bring him back. I don't know. This could be, of course, Phil Coulson corrupted or something and still alive, but it's looking increasingly like they're going to be casting him as another character. This is, of course, another way for showrunners to sort of keep their talent happy. I think maybe Clark Gregg was saying, I've been playing this guy for 5 years. I played him in the movies for 5 years before that. Maybe we can do something different this season. And there is going to be a seventh season. I'm pretty sure that is confirmed. It's been rumored to be the last season. So maybe we'll get a return to Phil Coulson next season, and that's the reason why they're kind of letting the cat out of the bag that there will be a seventh season to sort of get everybody prepared for this departure. Anyhow, yep, there he is, Sarge. Okay, so let's take a look at our. This is the segment of the show that we like to call "Keeping Up with Harley Quinn," and this is this week's edition. We take a look at some behind-the-scenes shots of the Birds of Prey movie. Now, see, just like I was so interested, I was fascinated by what kind of sandwich Harley Quinn had in the in the first original wave of photos that we saw. What is in her shopping carriage? What is she getting? Let's see. It looks like there's. Let's start from the bottom. There's marshmallows, I think, down there. I don't know what this is. This kind of looks like microwavable popcorn to me. I don't know. I can't tell. I don't know. Some junk food. Dog food, I guess, for her pet beaver or whatever that is. I don't know what it is. Malox, a couple of boxes of Malox. That kind of sounds more like one of the other members. Like, I don't know, maybe Huntress after a hard night's work needs some Malox. I don't know. Peeps, got to have the Peeps. And Stella Dora. Those are those nice, those are those like breakfast cookies. The Amadoros, I think they're called. And what is this? Skinny, I don't know, popcorn or something. She's got on a shirt here that basically advertises Harley Quinn. So the girl has no fear, right? I mean, if she's wanted the way they kind of had her wanted in the Suicide Squad, I don't know if that's a good idea, Harley. I don't know if you should advertise like that. It looks like she's got an injury here to her knee, which could be one of the many car chase scenes that we've come across so far. No, don't say it. Okay. We also have, this is the first image of, well, allegedly the first image, I'm not sure, of Renee Montoya. And apparently this is like a little earlier where she's going to, I guess, be arrested because maybe she had that shirt. I don't know. But this is, of course, let's see. No, I don't have any notes for this. Oh, there it is. Yeah, Rosie Perez. That's who's playing Montoya in this film. I'm sure she'll do very well. And we got one more shot of Harley with Cassandra Cain. And I don't know, Cassandra looks like she's talking to some shifty guy. Some shifty guy. I don't know. She should be talking to him, but Harley doesn't seem to be too, I don't know, overcome with fear over the situation. All right, so there is your updated This Week in Birds of Prey. And let's take a look here again very briefly at Ghostbusters. Now, we don't have any information yet about the movie beyond the couple of casting, uh, a couple of actors who've been cast. Let's put it that way. Trying to bring up my notes and talk at the same time sometimes doesn't work. There is news, though, that the 4K Ultra HD Ghostbusters Blu-ray. Now, I don't know anything about a 4K and this and that because, I mean, to me, Blu-ray is Blu-ray, and I think they want to push this to just keep the, keep the economics of, home video going because they want to squeeze out that market, and that's something that bothers me because I don't like having to get all kinds of streaming services. That's what they're doing. They're just being greedy. They want to push out the Blu-ray now because for the 4K, I think. And if you don't get with the 4K, you're not going to be able to have physical copies of media anymore. And that aggravates me because I'm a collector. I want to get a shelf full of DVDs that I like. I don't want to have to, you know, have a subscription to like 8 different streaming services and only watch, on Disney, the Disney things, on, the DC universe, all that stuff. It's just it's pretty annoying. So I'm hoping that's not going to be the case, but I'm getting off the beaten path here. The copy that just came out here, we've got for the new Ghostbusters 4K Ultra HD, 6 rare and newly unearthed deleted scenes. That's always fun. I like to see the deleted scenes of especially older movies where they really didn't. Nowadays when they film a movie, like I'm talking like for the past 20 years, they film a movie, they know the DVD market needs a little boost, to sell it. So they'll film like a couple of things that may or may not end up in the finished film. And they sort of, hedge their bets and put it on the shelf saying, well, we'll finish it after, when we got to get ready for the DVD. 6 rare and newly unearthed deleted scenes, including the long requested Fort Detrimenting scenes. Never heard of that. Raw takes for the Central Park bum sequence. 1984 Showist exhibitor reel featuring Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd pitching an early reel of footage to theatrical exhibitors. They showed a clip of that on the website. It's typical funny Bill Murray from the mid 80s. That's if only he could have stayed that way. If we could have 80s Bill Murray every day, the world would be a better place. But unfortunately, sometime in I don't know, the late 90s, he started hunting Oscars, and full Ghostbusters TV commercial from the film, Ghostbusters TV commercial outtakes, a moment with the stars, original press kit featurette. I think I actually have that somewhere. Well, I did on VHS when, the VCRs, that's another thing now. Whatever you had on VCR now don't work anymore. You can't get a VCR anywhere. So it's like all these little golden nuggets of, you know, film footage that I have from the 80s that I took from when I was a kid. Even though the quality is probably shabby now that it's so many years, but they did Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd did I don't know if you want to say a press gimmick or something, like a press release gimmick, where they sat down and talked about the movie, and I think they incorporated a lot of that into the old Leonard Nimoy series, Lights, Camera, Action, which I really like that show. I really wish they'd bring it back and try to do something like that again. Of course, unfortunately, without Leonard Nimoy, but let's see what else they have here. Original domestic teaser trailer, original stereo audio for the feature, Blu-ray only. Fan commentary featuring Troy Benjamin and Chris Stewart from Interdimensional Cross Rippled Cast. Ashley Victoria Robinson from Geek History Lesson podcast, and Sean Bishop, Ghostbusters prop replica expert, moderated by Ghost Core Eric Reich. Unfortunately, I don't know any of those people. I guess I don't have too many Ghostbusters fan podcasts in my circle. Ghostbusters 2 will feature commentary featuring director Ivan Reitman, co-star Dan Aykroyd, and executive producer Joe Medrick. The Oprah Winfrey Show, cast of Ghostbusters 2 from June 1989. Full Ghostbusters 2 theatrical EPK. I don't know what that means. Rare unfinished teaser trailer featuring the full commercial from the film. Original stereo audio for the feature, Blu-ray only. According to Deadline... Oh, no, I'm skipping into the next thing. Okay. Now, they don't have any... apparently, they don't have any deleted scenes from Ghostbusters 2, which is surprising to me, because I heard there was this whole scene from Ghostbusters 2 where Ray gets possessed by Vigo, and that's why later on in the film, when he sort of just gets possessed like that in a snap at the end, Ray would like to shoot the monster scene. He already had been sort of possessed, and they kind of left the seeds for that still in the movie when he's like looking at the Vigo picture and he's like getting slightly slightly possessed. Can you get slightly possessed? And then they sort of lead him away from the painting. I guess they don't have any of those deleted scenes, or they're trying to hold them up for another re-release. All right, so let us move on yet again, and let me know what you think in the comments about the Ghostbusters 4K Ultra. All right, now let's get to our main event of the evening. Like I said, we're going to want to take at least a half hour on some Star Wars talk. Of course, Star Wars Celebration is happening right now, as a matter of fact. I usually watch all the panels and then do a complete show to sort of talk about all. I didn't even watch the full panel for the episode 9 panel, so I didn't even see all that. I just saw like the last half of it and then the trailer. So it was fun. I actually did get to see the full trailer uh, when it was officially debuted, and the whole rest of the world saw it at the same time. But first off, we do have some news here for Alan Tudyk returning to the role of K2SO for the still unnamed Cassian Andor series. It may be called Cassian Andor, the series. We don't know. But this was revealed that this show is apparently still underway. And is it possible that maybe Disney's trying to hedge their bets? That they figured, well, Rogue One was the best received of the Star Wars Disney films, whatever way you want to describe them. But I don't know if it was sort of like setting a low bar. I mean, do people really find that the most interesting? I think it was most interesting because it was the appropriate era. It was going back to something that was very close to the Skywalker series. And I've always maintained the most popular incarnation of Star Wars will always be dealing with the Skywalkers. I don't think Star Wars will not last without the Skywalker saga being part of it, the Skywalker storyline. You can go back a certain amount of years and sort of tie it into the Jedi and, the peripheral characters, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You can do something with Obi-Wan Kenobi because he's an important part of the Skywalker legacy. You know what I mean? You can do something like that. And you can even go as far back as, like I said, maybe I've said this many times, maybe do a story, a series about Qui-Gon Jinn and how he sort of had a strange, you know, upbringing under Count Dooku, a strange teacher in Count Dooku, which kind of made him the maverick that he was. That would be an interesting show. But I think you go too far off the reservation, you're not going to appeal to people. So I don't really know. We're gonna have to see if people will tune in for Cassian Andor and the Mandalorian, which the Mandalorian could be interesting. I mean, again, it depends how close they tie it to Boba Fett. If it has absolutely nothing to do with Boba Fett, eh, I don't know. Okay, so we have before we get to the trailer, they did release a bunch of stills and images from the movie. So let's take a look at a couple of those. This is the new rock planet that apparently they're going to be on. It's another desert slash rock planet. I thought maybe this was Jakku, and of course it could be Jakku. I don't know, but seeing the trailer, it's kind of a familiar, setting. These aliens here look like they're ready to do YMCA. I don't know if it's the same. Yeah, this is the Jakku village people. That's what they are. But see the guy over there on the left, he's the biker, and the guy there in yellow in the front, he's the construction worker. Yeah, I think that's what it is. But I don't know if this is probably just a crowd scene. There's probably not much to read into this. People up on the hills there on the rocks, that's kind of interesting to see as well. I don't know. Interesting to speculate. Let's see. We've got this creature. I still don't know the name of this creature. And the thing on the right. Yeah, no. Yeah, that's that famous actor that JJ puts in all his movies, and he's so famous that I can't remember his name, but at least he survived all 3 films. I don't know what this creature, his name is, I can't remember, but again, this does seem to match up with the that poster that everybody was convinced was a fake, and it looks like it's more true than not. It just looks like I think probably some Lucasfilm employee got overzealous and said, let's put together a poster. And they threw all those images up there from what they thought was, the main thrust of the movie. And apparently this kid made it. So he must have something important to do to make the poster. But it wasn't probably sanctioned to be shown. All right, let's see. For all you Tico fans out there, this one's for you. Tico's back. And let's see, this outfit looks like she's borrowing Luke Skywalker's Empire Strikes Back outfit. I mean, what the heck is the meaning of that? But I don't know. It's a little more form fitting, I guess. It doesn't quite have that rumpled potato look to it anymore. And they did some improvements with her hair. So maybe some improvements for Tico. She seems to be put on the back burner in the marketing so far anyway. I mean, I know they wouldn't want to completely leave her out, and I wouldn't either. See, I didn't have a problem with Rose T much as the movie itself was infuriating. If they had given Kelly Marie Tran a better character, it has nothing to do with her, and it really doesn't have anything to do with the character. But if they had done something more than the whole foolishness of The Last Jedi, of her being a security guard with a taser that goes off and frees space horses and stuff, the fault is not on Kelly Marie Tran or the character of Rose Tico. It's basically on Ruin Johnson for, you know, mismanaging the character. But yeah, it's comforting to know that she's here and apparently still going to be with Finn, I guess, right? They were an item, and I think that's not going to change. To all you Poe, no, to you Finn and Poe shippers, but I was going to say probably the Ray Finn shippers are going to be more disappointed. But I think you're still going to be disappointed if you're a Finn Poe shipper. But here they are. Yep, they're having a good time. I like the costuming here, though. I got to say, I don't know what this is. Is this a ship? It looks like it might be a ship, or could be there because it looks like they landed on some planet, maybe. But yeah, the costumes are great. I like they're giving Poe sort of the Han Solo look. This looks very much in keeping with Han Solo. Finn, I don't know. I mean, they kind of give him his own look. You know what I mean? They don't try to force the Han Solo look on him. I mean, I can't see Han wearing that kind of jacket type thing, whatever that is, sort of a vest jacket. And I know Han was all about the vest, but no, it doesn't look like that to me. I don't, maybe that style of pants is probably closer to what maybe Han would be wearing. But anyway, yep. I have to admit though, I always said that these guys got great chemistry. Now, not like that, but if they do put them together for a lot of scenes in this movie, that would be great. That's the way they worked the best in the beginning of the Force Awakens when they actually had some real cool camaraderie. All right. We get a look at the new character here. Her name is Jana, I believe. I got it in my notes saying Jana. And again, people are speculating maybe Lando's daughter. I don't think they want to do that because I think they're deathly afraid of criticism. And, the criticism's always been, well, why do they have to be related? They can't be two black people in the universe that aren't related. And you know how SJWs are, they take it to heart. So I have a very strong feeling that they're not going to make this Lando's daughter, which does make you wonder where Lando's been all this time, seeing as how they completely ignored him. Not that I'm bitter, mind you, but they've ignored Lando Calrissian, one of the greatest adventurers in the galaxy, until the final movie, probably the final half of the final movie. And there he is, Billy D. Williams. He's back. He's wearing the exact same outfit from Solo. And I've got to admit, that gives me pause. Why would you do that? Particularly, Solo, let's say, underperformed. And I don't think you'd want to sort of remind fans of that and sort of say, yeah, the last time we saw this character, it was Donald Glover. Nah, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. Also makes no sense. I mean, yeah, I probably still got some clothes from like 20 years ago, but I don't know if I would be wearing something that I wore 40 years ago. And maybe this just makes him feel better. You know, he feels like he's back in the swing of things now. And, you know, it's great to see Lando again, though. I mean, I'm happy for Billy D. Williams. I think that he'll probably survive. I don't think they're going to kill everybody off because I don't know. I mean, the jury's still out on what they're going to do with Leia because Carrie Fisher has unfortunately passed. But all they got left is Lando. I don't know. Do you want to kill him? Ah, do you really want to kill Lando? You want to go down in history as that guy? Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy, JJ. All right, let's see. I got one more here. Oh no, I got two more. This is the new and improved Adam Driver. No, this is yeah, Kylo Ren. He looks kind of messed up, but then again, he always looks kind of messed up, don't he? Kind of messed up. Looks like he's been through some kind of battle or something. He's in his own TIE fighter, which we're I think that's the one that we see in the beginning of the trailer. We'll get to that in just a moment. Hold your horses. But yeah, what can they do? What can they do with the Kylo Ren now? I don't know. And let's see. Now, finally, we got one more. This is the big scene of them unloading. We got BB-8, C-3PO, Chewie, the Falcon, Finn, Poe, and Rey. And yeah, there we go. It's a familiar looking jungle planet here. This is what's interesting. J.J. Abrams promised a team up here, that they're not going to be separated as much as they were in the last film. So that's comforting because, like I said, I think the interactions between these three characters, well, with Poe and Rey, there really was never that much, to the point where at the last half hour mark is when they actually met. So that's kind of interesting. That's what happens when you put the two movies back to back like that. I think they also announced that this movie is going to be, you know, sort of a little bit in the future. Let's put it that way. It's not going to, you know, they're not putting a time frame on it like it's years or something, but it's going to be a little bit in the future. So we've had chances for these characters and relationships to develop and grow. So there you go. There you have it. All right, now let's get to the trailer proper. Now we mean business. Let's see what's going on here. Let's see. Well, first off, let's get with the title. Let the speculation begin. The Rise of Skywalker. Now, what does that refer to? Could it be the return of Luke Skywalker? Probably too much to hope for. I'm not going to get my hopes up at all. I also want to, you know, let me preface this trailer review with where I'm at in the Star Wars universe. Now, I was underwhelmed with The Force Awakens. Some people loved it, legitimately loved it. I was underwhelmed. I don't see how you can have a Star Wars movie without Luke Skywalker, and that's what they did. They killed off Han Solo, which I totally understand because that was the only way Harrison Ford would come back, and you wanted to have them all involved in this and not say, well, Han died in between Return of the Jedi. But the thing is what's the point of putting them all in the series, in the sequel trilogy series, without having them all come together? Luke never reunites with Han. They never have a scene with Luke, Han, and Leia all together. And for that reason alone, I was disappointed with The Force Awakens. But then also there's a overabundance of, they put too much on Rey. And, you know, what is commonly referred to as a Mary Sue. She learned everything she had to know by herself. She didn't need any training. That was a very disappointing aspect, particularly when you come to the second movie and you expect he's going to train her, but she didn't need that training to begin with. Then we got The Force Awakens. I mean, then we got The Last Jedi after The Force Awakens, and it was a complete disaster. Let's just call it what it was. It was a complete disaster. Ruin Johnson basically ruined the entire Star Wars franchise with this. We had one shot at getting Luke Skywalker, one shot getting Luke Skywalker to be shown in all his Jedi Master glory. Now, remember, now he's a master. He was powerful before. He's even more powerful now. He's got a chance to cut loose. This is Mark Hamill's entire movie. We're going to showcase him the way we showcased Harrison Ford in The Force Awakens. And what does he do? He makes him a grumpy Uncle Owen type hermit that won't get off his duff to save his own life if he had to. He's there to die. And then he sort of force projects himself across the universe and as a stalling tactic and ends up expiring from doing it. Very disappointing. And so now we move on to the Rise of Skywalker, and you have to ask yourself the age-old question. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 3 times, what does that say about me? Now, I will admit the trailer got me excited. More excited than I'd been before, because I was literally at -0. I was probably -1. This trailer probably brought me up to 2, maybe 3 if I'm being really honest. Maybe 3 on a scale of 1 to 10. Because everybody was like, well, what are they going to do really? I mean, I don't think anybody had any firm expectations of this movie, and I still don't, but I do think that, well, we'll get to it when we get to it. We'll take this trailer apart a little bit at a time, but the thing is the trailers have always been very indicative of the movie. You see, this is what I said something about Shazam, and I won't go too far into it there because I guess it could be considered spoilers. It's still kind of early in that run, but with Shazam, the trailers really didn't tell the whole story of the movie. And that's originally what I thought The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi were going to be like. Force Awakens told you exactly what that movie was. It's all about Rey, it's all about Finn, and Harrison Ford is a strong mentor figure. That's all you get, is what's in that trailer. There's no Luke Skywalker. You know, Princess Leia has some cameo time. That's it. That's what we got. That's what we were promised in that trailer, and that's what they gave us. Now, The Last Jedi was a little different, but they showed us that it was going to be more about Rey growing in her Force walk and her powers. They showed us it was going to be about Kylo Ren and his, his difficulty trying to maintain staying on the dark side. And they showed it was about Luke giving up and not actively participating in the Force anymore, and telling us flat out that the Jedi should end and that this is not going to go the way you want it to go because, Ryan, I'm subverting your expectations. Johnson had to be a total dirtbag about it, and that turns him on, I guess, in subverting expectations and turning everything that was heretofore thought about the character on its head. Of course, I always say Kathleen Kennedy is the one to blame about all this because she hired him. So they promised that, and I think going to The Last Jedi and watching it, not only it was not a pleasant experience because it didn't feel like a Star Wars movie. It didn't feel like a Star Wars movie from the very first Yo Mama joke to the the obvious SJW scenes, with the rescuing the animals and the litany of female empowered characters that were slapping Poe around and slapping him down. It didn't feel that enjoyable to begin with, but everybody, I'm going to speak for myself. I stuck with it saying, as long as I see Luke Skywalker doing something heroic. And they gave us pretty much every excuse for him not to do anything heroic. They just, they emasculated the character. They just made him completely and totally useless. And that was the big disappointment, is every single time they got your hopes up, now Luke's going to train Rey. Now he's really serious about he's going to do it. Nothing ever comes of it. Now Rey's really going to get Luke to leave that island with her. No, he's not going to do it. Now Luke has left the island. Now he's there. He's going to face Kylo Ren. Yeah, he's just kind of like an astral projection, and then he dies. So this is kind of a long lead up, but what I'm trying to say is whatever is in this trailer is whatever we're going to get. We don't see Luke Skywalker. We hear him talk. We don't see Luke Skywalker. I don't think we're going to see the big return of Luke Skywalker. So the Rise of Skywalker, I don't believe is going to pertain to Luke Skywalker. long roundabout way of getting to this point, but that's why I don't believe this is going to be about Luke Skywalker. The Rise of Skywalker is probably, it's either two things. It's one of two things. Some people have, the speculations abound already. Like I said, Ryan Johnson's whole thing was to listen to all the fan expectations and then say, nope, you're wrong. We're not going to let one of you be right. And they did everything in their power to make sure that nobody was right. Because the fun is in the speculation. Of course, 99% of the time, you're not right. I don't think I've ever been right in a Star Wars speculation. And I've done them since the prequels. But one of the speculations is the Rise of Skywalker means the Jedi. And because they don't want to go back on Ryan Johnson's The Last Jedi and, you know, make that false by saying, yeah, the Jedi returned. It's not The Last Jedi. They're going to call the Jedi Skywalker. And the Skywalker are going to be basically the Jedi, but sort of 2.0, where it's not going to have the stiff and stodgy rules that mean old George Lucas laid down. They're going to be able to, do different things. I don't know. Be gray Jedi is basically what I guess the fans seem to want. I never liked the concept of the gray Jedi. And the other, of course, is that this is their way of tweaking, Rey's backstory, that she may in fact be the daughter of either Luke Skywalker or Han and Princess Leia. It's possible. I have said from the beginning, I don't think they need to have Rey be a Skywalker, so I'm not really for this if that's the case, because I think Luke was a Jedi of the old school. He was like Obi-Wan. That's basically what happens. He becomes Obi-Wan in Return of the Jedi. And to say that he sort of fell in love and this and that, I don't think that's more of an Anakin move, and I don't think that's good for the character. And also, they want to get as far away from the EU as possible. I don't think they're going to go with Mara Jade if they do. I would still prefer that she's the twin. Maybe the age wouldn't work out that way. I don't know, but she would still be the sister of Kylo Ren. Of course, they can finagle things, I suppose, because you've got Han and Leia kind of acting like they don't know her, but maybe it's for a reason. Luke kind of acting like he doesn't know her, but maybe it's for a reason. And she did have that X-Wing doll. So, again, they're saying that basically J.J. Abrams has to save this franchise. And he was brought back kicking and screaming, I think. In fact, I don't think if he had, they must have waved some bucks under his under his nose in order to get this done. So let me read a quote of his before we get on to it here. It says, J.J. Abrams said, this movie had a very, very specific challenge, which was to take 8 films and give an ending to 3 trilogies. We had to look at what was the bigger story. We had conversations amongst ourselves. We met with George Lucas before we started writing the script, which is a smart thing. These were things that were in real, not debate, but you look at the sort of vastness of the story and trying to figure out what is the way to conclude this. But it has to work on its own as a movie. It can't be its own thing. It has to be its own thing. It has to be surprising and funny, and you have to understand it. You can't assume anyone has sat and watched 8 movies before this one. And yet I want a kid to be able to watch episodes 1 through 9 and see that one story. We also hear Bob Iger got a quote here saying, we've not announced any specific plans for movies thereafter. It means after episode 9. There are movies in development, but we haven't announced them. We will take a pause some time and reset because the Skywalker saga comes to an end with this 9th movie. There will be other Star Wars movies, but there will be a bit of hiatus. Again, I've said this countless times before, but there doesn't need to be this great, vast amount of time between movies. Just give us good movies. Give us good movies. Nobody gets tired of the MCU. Why? Because they're different. They're good. They're based in the source material. At least up to now, they're not woke and trying to preach some particular agenda. So the same should hold true for Star Wars. But again, they can't give us a good movie. At least they've gone from mediocre to bad. And so I'm not against taking a couple of years off from a Star Wars movie. We've gone through that in the past, especially us old school fans that went through, a 12, 13-year drought before there was even news about a new Star Wars movie. So I could deal with another 3, 4, 5 years maybe, but I don't think you need that long. I think 2 years tops and then get back to it. 2 or 3 years and you'll be fine. All right, now let's get to the trailer at large. Again, do I like the title? I like it. I just don't know, what's pertaining to. Your guess is as good as mine. If, because the titles so far have not really been The Force Awakens. What was it representative in the movie that Rey was on the scene? The Last Jedi, well, that was pretty much on the nose because Luke pretty much burned down the Jedi Order. If he didn't, then Yoda did. Rise of Skywalker, what does it mean? I don't know. I mean, it does have a good sound to it, I think. And I love the logo, the blue. They've done the yellow, the red, now the blue. All right, so again, I don't have the capabilities to play the trailer. I don't think so. We'll take a few images randomly and out of order and see what happens. Let's see. We start off with a panting Rey on another desert planet. I guess it could be Jakku. I don't know. Um, they're trying to imitate the beginning of the Force Awakens trailer, for good or bad. I don't know. I don't think that particularly was something that we needed to re-evoke. But yeah, Daisy Ridley looking kind of thin. Yeah, she's always been thin though, so I guess that's all right. Then we got the TIE fighter going after her. We get a better look here at the the outfit. She's worn basically the same outfit through all the movies with just subtly whitewashing it out a little bit. And it was kind of beige, then it was kind of gray, now it's kind of white. And I guess that is the symbolic motif that she's now ready to be a Jedi, quite possibly. I don't know. We see the lightsabers returned. This is not a good shot of it, but it looks like it is the original Luke Skywalker lightsaber, and it does look like the shaft is a little bit shorter. That maybe she repaired it, and that is the original saber. I think it's still blue. It's kind of a washed out blue, which I think maybe is to show that you know she's got it as a work in progress. She also has the gun that Han Solo gave her, but it doesn't look like it's in the holster in this scene. The reason I bring that up is mostly because I don't think Jedi carry guns. And to see that at the beginning of this trailer, she's still holding a gun, a firearm, or whatever way you would want to call it, a blaster. I don't know. I don't know what that's supposed to say. It could just be saying that the people behind the film still don't have a clue about what they're doing. You're not supposed to use a gun if you're a Jedi, unless, of course, you're in a spaceship or a speeder bike. Let's see. It looks to me like I don't know who it is. Somebody is repairing Kylo Ren's mask. That is clearly not Kylo Ren's hands. I don't know. They got some red going through it, which is really cool looking. I hope that looks good. Yeah, This is what I want to see. I want to see a man in a mask in this movie. I mean, we had several of them in the original trilogy and in the prequels. With Boba Fett, Jango Fett, as well as Darth Vader, and they completely ruined it in The Last Jedi by not really letting him wear it at all. And that's the thing about this trailer. The thing about this trailer, and I'm probably not going to sound unlike what half a dozen people that have reviewed this trailer have already said, but this is the course correction. You know what I'm saying? This whole trailer is meant to ensure you and inform you that be assured we are not following suit with The Last Jedi. Now, I don't know if this necessarily means they're going to sort of completely forget and whitewash everything that was in that movie. But they're trying to say, the message of The Last Jedi was kill the past if you have to, let the past die. That's not the message of this movie, because J.J. Abrams is, if nothing else, he is a nostalgia fest. And so he is I don't think he's capable of leaving the past out of this film. I think, obviously there's more to come in this trailer we'll get to that's obviously nostalgia based, but he is first and foremost a fan of the original saga, and he is going to want to attach those elements to it. So again, this is sort of, are we going to be able to do a redo here? Is this a mulligan? How much of The Last Jedi can they hold on to? Hopefully none of it. I mean, like I said, we have to fix things like this, like the helmet being repaired and, keeping Rose Tico in and stuff like that. But let's pretend that the whole Last Jedi didn't exist. Let's get to the elephant in the room of Luke Skywalker. Mark Hamill, of course, narrates the trailer. Before we get any further, let me just talk about him for a moment. We don't see him in the trailer, so we'll put an image of Rey up while I'm talking about this. I noticed very clearly that there is no reverb on Luke's monologue. And it sounds like a new monologue. He says a couple of things that I think he said in the last movie or something, but the fact that there's no reverb could just be to mess with us. Because the MCU is good with that, where they put stuff in the trailers that are not meant to be in the trailers, like Hulk running in the Wakandan jungles or whatever, and it's not in the movie. Now, could it be that they just took the reverb off his voice so that people won't automatically say, oh, he's a Force ghost, just to leave the question out there that he's still alive, or maybe has come back. Like I said in numerous Torch News roundups, if they show Luke Skywalker with the green lightsaber in the flesh, taking on something or someone, could be anything, could be any number of characters, could be one character, my expectations will go through the roof. I'll go to a 12 in expectations and be excited about this movie. I didn't get that, and that's why hence I'm sort of a 3. But they have kind of dangled the carrot. Now, again, I don't think that anything that is not in the trailer is going to be in the movie. So if we hear Luke talking, Luke's going to be in the movie, but that sounds more like he's going to be in the Obi-Wan role as a Force ghost. He is probably going to be sitting there on a log stump and just giving this pep talk to Rey, and that's all we're going to get out of him. At least, apparently, it sounds like Mark Hamill is still pretty fed up with his role in these films. He hasn't really, he hasn't been quiet, but he hasn't been exactly exuberant either over what's been going on with the filming of the Rise of Skywalker. So my prediction is, yeah, he's going to be a Force ghost. I don't think he's going to be back in the flesh. I can't remember all the lines. It would have helped if I actually watched the trailer before this, but that was an hour ago once we started this show. But he says, "We'll always be with you," and that is, of course, something that Obi-Wan says to him in Return of the Jedi. Yoda will always be with you, and of course, he himself. So Luke also says, if I'm going by memory, he says, all the 1,000 generations of Jedi reside in you now. It's your fight. And again, this sounds more like, he says we trained you the best we could, or something to that effect, which leads me to believe, who is we? Nobody trained Rey. Nobody trained Rey. He tried to give a couple of platitudes that, wouldn't help her an iota, not a whit. And then there's been sort of the rule has sort of been that you can't be a ghost, a Jedi, a Force ghost, and teach a Jedi, because that's what they did with Yoda. That's why Obi-Wan sent Luke to Yoda, because he had to complete his training. So unless Luke comes back, again, maybe I'm grasping at straws. Unless Luke comes back, and let's say Leia is also somewhat instrumental in her teaching, because of course Leia does have knowledge of the Force, and they find a way for Leia to die, and Luke ends up returning to his forced ghost state after coming back in the flesh because, whatever. Maybe that's what it means. But as it is now, I don't see how she's been trained. She really hasn't been trained, and certainly not by more than one person. I mean, Luke Luke barely trained her. He didn't train her at all. So again, just trying to make sense out of Luke's role in this movie. I don't know. If you have any ideas about that, let me know in the comments below. Let's breeze through some of this here. We see Kylo Ren cutting down somebody. I'm guessing it's a member of the I don't know what that is because it looks like a big Ewok, doesn't it? I was gonna say it looked like maybe one of the Knights of Ren, but I don't know why he'd be killing one of his own men. Kind of strange, but we'll find out. Again, that's another thing. The Rise of Skywalker is it talking about Kylo Ren turning back to a good guy. Of course, he's not a Skywalker, though he's a Solo. So are they going to just kind of say, well, yeah, he's got Skywalker blood, so it's the Rise of Skywalker? Quite possibly. I mean, I would accept that. But again, we don't know. Let's see. Not a whole lot of things here to betray the action. This was cool. I liked this shot where we see it looks very Return of the Jedi-ish, and you see the guys, on the skiff. We see C-3PO yet again. It looks like he's got a lot to do in this, which is surprising. I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest with you, if Anthony Daniels sort of went over and took, I don't know, Abrams maybe by the ear or somebody and said, look, I'm one of the old guard. I'm one of the last of the old guard. Can we give my character something to do so that, they had to. They had to, because with Luke mostly out of the picture, with Carrie Fisher dead, and with Lando probably only getting a couple of scenes behind the controls of the Falcon, we needed another character. Now, what bothers me here is where is R2-D2? They broke this pair up something terribly because they can't write comedy. They don't know how to write comedy. They don't. They're not Star Wars fans to begin with. These people. So it's difficult to imagine what they could have done with 3PO and R2. Again, grasping at straws is R2 with Luke. That's the only way I could accept this. But 3PO apparently given a bigger role. Maybe that's why he gets the bowcaster later on in the movie. But again, I like this. Very, very pirate-like, especially Poe's costume. And this skiff apparently is being chased by flying stormtroopers in jetpacks. Which I don't know how I feel about that, but since Boba Fett had rocket packs and Jango Fett, it is surprising that we've never seen them anywhere else. Is it sort of an acquired skill? I don't know. But again, yeah, I'm really happy to see C-3PO get a bigger role here, and hopefully he uses his 6 million forms of communication to, up his presence. Because in the previous film we had, Rey translating everything and understanding everything, and we didn't need 3PO. Again, Mary Sue, what are you gonna do? Let's see. We see an A-wing. I don't have an image of that, but that's interesting. It looks like a Star Destroyer or something. This is a new character, sort of a partner to BB-8, and his name is D-O. D-O. And I don't know. See, the problem is BB-8 kind of forced out R2-D2 and C-3PO to an extent. So adding another character, like, I think they want to try to do some like fun banter, like the old days of 3PO and R2, but of course 3PO could speak human speech, This is probably just going to be more like, physical comedy where I guess he's always following around and bouncing into him and stuff. I've never disliked BB-8, but that's the problem. He's taken so much away from, it's sort of like when you have a TV show or a sitcom, and like in the third or fourth season, it's like, hey, let's bring in Cousin Miles. He's going to join the family. and they just need to sort of do something to, like, put like a shot in the arm to boost the show by adding another character, and that was fine with me to do that with BB-8. But they greatly reduced both C-3PO and R2-D2 in both these movies so far. So it doesn't give me a lot of confidence to see that they got a new duo in BB-8 and D-O, that we're going to see a lot of C-3PO and R2-D2 camaraderie. Probably just going to be 3PO. All right. Let's see. Now we've got the famous we had the music, the Princess Leia theme. I think that was a nice tribute to Princess Leia and the passing of Carrie Fisher. But that's the problem, really. The way this was built up, this was supposed to be Princess Leia's movie, and they got stymied over what to do now that Carrie Fisher unfortunately passed away. The whole problem is that this was designed to be Harrison Ford first movie, Mark Hamill second movie, third movie Carrie Fisher, when it should have been Harrison Ford, Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, first movie, second movie, third movie. And of course, you would have still had the problem of Carrie Fisher passing on, unfortunately, but you would have had a great backdrop to all this. Again, Harrison Ford probably wouldn't have signed up for the full trilogy, but we could have at least had them all in one movie, at least, and it would have been fine. Now, you'll never have that again. That's the sad thing. Now, this was probably because they're using existing footage. This is not, digital or CGI in any way. They might have used a double for the back of Princess Leia when you see Rey's face. I don't know, but this was probably cut out of some, deleted scene from one of the other two movies. And again, it's going to be great to see Princess Leia still in this final chapter, as she should be. But again, they have this mad fixation for Princess Leia, and I'm never going to call her General Leia. I am so frustrated with hearing that in every movie. It's Princess Leia, or if they wanted to give her a raise, make her Queen Leia. But it's not General Leia. That does not fit with the character. And just them trying to just push that wokeness in there, that's where the whole thing fell apart. The Force is female. We have to focus on Princess Leia as the last movie central character. We have to focus on Rey. I think everybody that wanted to see Star Wars sequels wanted to see the primary cast of the original trilogy and how they sort of gradually handed off to the next generation. What they did here was unconscionable, where it was basically, look, we have the new characters. You're going to love them. Whether you love them or not, you're going to love them. And we're going to let them be supported by the older characters, the original characters, only to sort of phase them out by killing them off one movie at a time. And again, that's just disappointing. Again, a lot of people are speculating, and I would love it if this was the case, but this is speculation that perhaps Leia is telling Rey that she's her mother. I'm not sure how they could do that. I don't know what they have in terms of dialogue from Carrie Fisher before she passed. If they have a sound alike to deliver some dialogue, I don't know how they're planning to get around that. But again, at least she's in the movie. That's comforting, I guess, depending on how they use it. And of course, let's see the one and only Lando Calrissian. Lando Calrissian. Yes, he's got the blue cape on. That's kind of a tribute to Empire, I guess. And this is where he belongs, baby. He's back behind the controls of the Millennium Falcon. This is probably not the way anybody really wanted him to get the control of the Falcon back with the death of Han Solo. But if it's going to go back to anybody, it should go back to Lando, the Falcon. That'd be cool. And, it leads you to wonder, like I said, where's he been all this time? Where has Lando been? And why has he been out of action? He looks great. He looks great. It looks like not a day has passed. All right, maybe that's going a little too far, but he, as long as he's behind the controls of the Falcon, it just feels like the end of Return of the Jedi, and no time has passed. Chewbacca is there with him, and they're going into hyperspace. I think they're going to get a fun little adventure out of this or subplot, I should say. and it's great seeing him back again. And it leads me to wonder, like, the Millennium Falcon has become a person almost. Well, in Solo, it kind of did become a person, but I'm saying it's become like a character of its own. And we're going to get another, emotional moment of the characters being aboard the Falcon for the first time in a long time. We got that with Han and Chewbacca, with Chewie were home. Luke has his moment on the Falcon with R2 in Last Jedi. And, we're probably going to get something like that again here with Lando, which is well deserved. He probably hasn't been in that ship for quite a while himself. Alrighty, so, well, this is interesting. We see the medal, and people are speculating, of course, that this is probably Princess Leia, and she's looking at Han's medal. It's good to, that they evoke Han Solo, mention him as much as possible, because, again, I haven't seen The Last Jedi since the first time I saw it. I saw it in theaters, and there really wasn't a big presence of Han Solo in that film. So if they do try to evoke the memory of Han Solo, that'll be nice. Or, as some have speculated, maybe she's given this medal to Chewie after, like, after 40 years. She wants to make up with Chewie. So that's interesting. Could be Luke's medal too, because Luke has also passed on, and Leia hasn't had a chance probably to grieve him very much either in between movies. Alrighty, so let's take a look-see. There's Poe and Finn on one of those outcroppings. You know what this reminds me of? This looks an awful lot like that Sith cave from Attack of the Clones. Remember that thing? Wasn't that where Obi-Wan was climbing up? Remember that? Yeah, that's what that looks like. I think Sith are coming. I don't know. I don't want to say, but I think Sith are going to be coming. They're going to be in this movie, and it's not going to be just Kylo Ren. All right. Again, before we wrap it up, here's the the shot of all the heroes together. Always comforting and nice to see that they're at least going to be in a couple of scenes together, because that scene with that they start the trailer with the TIE fighter or whatever that is. Again, it seems like it's going to be linking up to a final showdown with her and Kylo Ren. We don't know because we don't see the pilot of that ship, but I don't know. It's highly speculative exactly how this is going to play out. And here's the big reveal, or one of the big reveals. I couldn't tell what this was in the trailer, but in this frozen image, you can see they're looking at the Death Star remains. Now, again, what exactly does that, suggest? I mean, the Death Star looked like it was blown into a million smithereens. So what part of it exists and what part of it landed on this planet? Because you got to remember, it blew up over Endor. I don't know. This doesn't look like Endor. And I wouldn't mind if they went back to Endor. That would actually be pretty cool. But I don't think they're going back to Endor. So where did this fragment of the Death Star land? Why are they going to it? And of course, we hear the narration from Luke. Of course, he says, uh, nobody's actually ever really gone. And then you hear the maniacal laughter of the Emperor. And let's speculate on that now. Now, they're going to the ruins of the Death Star, and the idea is, like I said, when we seen the column there, that Sith column, I think they're trying to seek out some kind of dark side place. And again, this probably has something to do with the cave in Dagobah, how there was sort of like that, and they try to do something like that in The Last Jedi. There's probably some kind of dark side base where they're going to try to confront and see something. Now, the speculation is, and it's been confirmed, of course, Ian McDiarmid is going to play Emperor Palpatine in this movie. Now, does that mean he is going to be in the flesh? Does that mean he is going to be a spirit, a force ghost, a Sith force ghost? nobody knows for sure exactly how they plan on getting this to pan out. The speculation, I mean, it's all over the place because we really have not seen. I think they've had, you know, they've speculated that there might be Sith Force ghosts all along. Some people have said maybe there'll be the Darth Vader Force ghost and he'll be opposite of the Anakin Force ghost. I don't think Force ghosts work as Sith because it's kind of like, it's kind of like going to hell, right? I mean, if you're a Sith, you're not allowed to retain your identity. You know what I'm saying? It's more like, that's the end. But, again, see, my whole issue with the sequel trilogy is the book has been thrown out the window. The Star Wars Bible, as written by George Lucas, it's out the window since The Force Awakens. So if they want to bring back the Emperor in flesh, I say do it. You can't screw up this trilogy, the sequel trilogy. You can't screw it up any more than you have. Go for the fan service. Bring back Palpatine. Bring back Maul. Bring back Grievous, for crying out loud. Do whatever you have to do to give us a compelling villain. And the reason why they have to bring back Palpatine is quite obvious. It's obvious. They don't have Snoke anymore. Because roundhead Ryan Johnson had to kill off Snoke, a potentially interesting character, which we didn't know where he came from. We didn't know what he wanted. We didn't know how he got where he was. And now he's dead. So, if anything, I think the way they're going to sort of alleviate the burden of that character of being a complete and utter red herring that is never explained, they're going to have Palpatine come back as a Force ghost. And they're going to have him try to explain away who Snoke was, and give us the backstory on that. Give us a little exposition about Snoke, and probably try to tie Snoke into this. Maybe he'll be discovered to be Plagueis. Maybe he'll come back in the flesh. I don't know. I doubt it. But Plagueis, of course, died, according to Palpatine, in Revenge of the Sith. So I never really bought that Snoke was Plagueis. I don't know. You could do anything, but I don't see why you would bring him back and say, well, he's still out there somewhere on the down low, but Palpatine's letting him live. I don't see that. So whoever Snoke was, he was some kind of probably he was a dark side user that came up on his own. I think that's probably what it was. And all right, so anyway, what I want to see. Let me just to wrap up this whole long show. What I want to see is still look. Like I said, there's nothing they can do to ruin this anymore. You've ruined it already. There is no way you could possibly make this worse. J.J. Abrams, I have a modicum of faith in Abrams. Now, I'm not saying that this, could they save the whole thing? Could they save the whole thing? No, the whole thing has been ruined since The Force Awakens. They cannot save the whole thing. What they can do, and I think, see, J.J. Abrams is, he's, I've used this analogy or this metaphor many times. He sets a handsome table, but you don't want him to be the chef of the main course. I don't know that I have faith that he can deliver a main course that everybody's going to be satisfied with. But if they can't, and J.J. Abrams is, as qualified as anyone to do this, but if they can't salvage this, what the least they could do is make this film as fan servicey as possible. Just go flat out. I don't care if it makes any sense. Just get the taste of The Last Jedi out of our collective mouths. That's all. Just go for it. That's my advice. You bring Luke back in the flesh. You bring Palpatine back in the flesh. You say, oh, maybe he made a clone of himself and he had his mental essence transformed to the clone. You say that Luke, being the greatest Jedi master of them all, learned how to retain his physical form and came back in the flesh. Have Luke go against the Palpatine clone. Have them fight it out. Have Luke win. Maybe you can also kill him off again finally as he goes to his last rest. Then you can have Rey confront Kylo Ren and deal with that, whatever is supposed to come of that. I don't know. But I just say go for it at this point. Why should we care if it doesn't make sense? If it doesn't make sense, the whole thing was an abomination from the beginning. You from the first frame, they were just so full of themselves. This will begin to make everything right, as if the prequels were some abomination. I mean, they were flawed, but they were not tonally inconsistent because Lucas knew what he was doing. They came right out and said they did not have a plan for the sequel trilogy all along. They basically just hedged their bets on, we'll let J.J. Abrams set the table, we'll let Rian Johnson deal with the Luke Skywalker Jedi stuff, and then we'll let the rest of the film be finished with Colin Trevorrow. Once Trevorrow saw what Johnson did, particularly, he bowed out right off the bat because there was nothing to work with. There was nothing left to work with, and J.J. Abrams didn't even want to be doing this either because you don't really want to be the guy that ruined Star Wars, but of course, Rian Johnson's already got that mantle, so I really don't hold J.J. Abrams accountable for as good or bad as this will be. So, once again, what do I think about the trailer? Just to sum it up quickly, got me moderately excited because this looks like, because of J.J. Abrams' nostalgic influence, it looks like something that will be palatable. This is not going to be 2+ hours of excruciating torture the way The Last Jedi was. This will be on par with The Force Awakens, which is it's serviceable. It's probably going to be serviceable. It's probably going to make $1 billion. But again, it's I don't think they care about the fans enough. I don't think they care about the fans enough to go full on board with the fan service, and that's what they need to do. I mean, look at the Revenge of the Sith. Now, George Lucas himself was called on the carpet several times for not giving the fans what they wanted and so forth. And then comes Revenge of the Sith, and everybody was pretty much satisfied, even though a lot of people weren't happy with the Phantom Menace because it was sort of a kiddie picture. A lot of people weren't a fan of Attack of the Clones because of the romance, the middling romance that trying to do Dr. Zhivago in the middle of a Star Wars movie. And I liked those movies, but I could understand where people were coming from. And so when Revenge of the Sith rolls out, Lucas was unrestrained. He went all out. The epic saber battle between Anakin and Obi-Wan didn't disappoint. He even put Yoda up against Sidious, something I never thought we would see. I never thought that would happen. Mace Windu versus Sidious. That was also a great one. A little bit shorter than the average lightsaber battle, maybe, but it was still entertaining. And you had the backdrop of the fall of the Republic and the Jedi. It's possible for them to just go all out and reach that kind of level of fan service and just say, look, I know it doesn't necessarily make the most sense because we didn't plan this out and this is all seat of the pants, but we'll give you Luke Skywalker back in the flesh. We'll give you Palpatine back in the flesh. We'll give you, Lando Calrissian doing the maneuver that made him a household name. Just go all out. Put 3PO and R2 back together and give them some kind of shenanigans to get into, a la Attack of the Clones. Just do something. Throw it out there and just give us something that makes us feel like, yeah, we're watching something that is tied to the original trilogy, something that belongs. I bid you all adieu for this evening, and once again, this is probably the last broadcast for the foreseeable future. I'm going to talk about the Adventures of Bullets Bourbon Private Eye next time, and make sure you check on the link in the description below to see the Adventures of Bullets Bourbon Private Eye website, where you can find 4-page free preview as well as the links to purchase said issues. You will also find the link for my Twitter page where you can vote in the poll of the week question and see more of the updates for my Bullets Bourbon Private Eye comic. So until next we meet, this is Johnnie Torch reminding you once again, keep the flame burning brightly, and happy Easter. and may the Force be with you always.